Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Infinite Crypto Cruisers. Hey there, folks. My name is Brad Varnell, YouTube channel, and today I am so excited. I have an amazing guest that I'm going to be bringing on here in just a moment. I just want to give him a quick introduction. This gentleman, Josh Thomas, is an entrepreneur, a real estate investor, used to be a music teacher, and now he is the owner and CEO of the Do Zone. He helps entrepreneurs break through and have massive success in all areas of their life by kind of helping them dissect where they're not making the most out of the time that they have. He hates the word busy, and I am just excited to have him on the show and welcome him to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Josh.
Hey, awesome. Glad to be here, man. I interviewed a guy. I'm not prepared for this quite yet, but I interviewed a guy who had his own intro music, and it was pretty epic. And I'm like, man, I need to do that. But it just happened, so I'm gonna work out getting my own intro music, so I'm gonna get a hype man too.
Awesome, man. I love your lighting, man. You got a beautiful studio there.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Amazon
Amazon?
Prime, man.
Nice.
That's my addiction of choice.
Awesome, man. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself. Maybe tell the viewers a little bit about you, where you're from, and and kind of what you're up to these days.
Yeah, certainly. So I live in Austin, Texas. I'm an entrepreneur, and I am a consultant for service-based businesses and coaching companies. I help companies like that increase their sales and profits by building systems and strategies. And what I've noticed over time is there's a heck of a lot of people out there that really need help taking action. And in one stretch, I had the same conversation over several years. I had the same conversation about 3,000 times. And
Okay.
when you talk to that many people about the same thing, you start to notice some trends about humanity and human behavior. So I went in and started dissecting how people behave and really getting to the bottom of what breeds procrastination, what keeps people in their comfort zones, what keeps people from advancing their careers. And really, that's what the Do Zone that I created, that's what that's all about.
Awesome, man. I love it. You probably would agree with me when I say that success leaves clues.
Indeed.
That's one of the things that I love about this show. I love having a diverse set of guests on. Obviously this is a YouTube cryptocurrency investing channel, but I've found through my life that if you don't get this right first, all of the money in the world isn't going to save you. And in fact, a lot of cases, if you don't have this right, money can ruin you faster than not having it. So I love having people like you on the show that have had some massive success, but that have also gone through an incredible journey. And I'd love for you to tell us, myself and the viewers, a little bit about how you went from being a music teacher and kind of struggling in life and not really where you wanted to be, to turning things around, and becoming, almost losing everything, but turning things around. And how did that turn into you being a successful entrepreneur and real estate investor?
Yeah, certainly. So I got a degree in music in the early 2000s, and I really enjoyed being a teacher. But there was something about it that it was very fulfilling in some ways, but it was very limiting in others. And so after 5 or 6 years of that, I burned out pretty hard, and it was time to walk away. And so I thought that real estate was going to be the answer. And so I got my real estate license. And for those of you that are keeping track at home, I got my degree in 2002, and I taught for 6 years. And so I got my real estate license right in July of 2008. And that I had no skills, no sales skills whatsoever. I had no job security, no backup plan. And at the time, literally nobody could qualify for a loan, and nobody could sell their house. So that didn't go very well, man. The good thing, though, is it forced me to look for another solution. And so I turned to the internet, typed in something really stupid like how to make money online or something like that. And I didn't get the answer. But what I did was I got some introductions to a new path. And, I'm not going to yada over the best part, but several years of building the foundation, probably about 10 years, actually, it took me to finally make that pay off. I learned slower than most. So about 10 years after I started that journey, something hit. And from there, the trajectory went up. And that's a little bit about where the crypto thing comes in, actually.
Yeah. Awesome. I also see, that you're really passionate about creating a movement for entrepreneurs. And, I'm just curious, what does that mean to you and why is that so important to you?
And entrepreneurship is a bunch of people living on their own islands. Everybody's isolated. Everybody's lonely. Everybody's a little bit bored and kind of lost. They're probably got sun poisoning from laying out on the beach too much, And what I realized is, since we're all living on our own islands, it's hard to really understand that the path that we're going down is very similar to the path somebody else has gone down. We feel like we need to figure it all out on our own, like we're the first person to blaze this trail. And my movement is very simple. I want to put everybody together because we are stronger together. There is no such thing as competition. And the only competition is what's happening in between your ears right now, which is keeping you on the sidelines. It's keeping you from taking action. And there are some scientific reasons to that, and there are some psychological reasons to that. And my goal is very simply to educate every entrepreneur to help you understand this is how you operate. This is how you tend to want to get stuff done. And there is a better way to do that as long as you're aware of it. But the first step to really dominating and crushing your goals is being aware of what your goals actually are and what's keeping them from getting accomplished in the first place. And a lot of times that comes down to the fact that you're just not doing the things you need to be doing. And you can take responsibility for that. But let me show you why, so that you can make some little tiny changes in your life and your lifestyle and your rhythm and your process and your strategies, so that over time you can start building that future that you're looking to build.
Amen. I love it, man. I really resonate with what you just talked about. I can think of many, many, many times in my life where one of the biggest mistakes that I made was not asking for help. And I've learned that lesson the hard way. And I've also kind of noticed, kind of on the side note, I think it's kind of interesting. It seems like women a lot of times can blaze a trail and build a successful business faster than men. And I think personally, I'm curious to get your take on it. Do you think that that's possibly because they get out of the way of the pride and the ego a little bit easier than men, and they're able to ask for help where men want to do everything on their own? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Well, that's certainly interesting. I don't know that I've heard that perspective before. I would say taking gender out of it per se. I think that there are certain men and women who tend to want to be alpha leaders and figure things out themselves, and they have a sense of pride in not having to ask for help.
Right.
And I think that could go either way. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a tinkerer, an improviser, a figure it out as you go type of person. The important thing is that you're aware of that and that you can harness it and understand that there are strengths that come with it. And then there are weaknesses that come with that as well. If you are the person that just kind of like grabs a machete and starts chopping away at the brush, okay, you're going to be out in front. You're going to be leading. You're going to be the first to figure things out. But you're probably also going to be the first to get bit by a snake. And so it's a double-edged sword, man, or double-edged machete in this case. And so being able to harness that and understand that there is a push and pull and everything requires balance is really the key to success. And man, I got to tell you, Brad, this has come up so much over the last couple of weeks. I feel like the universe is really talking to me. I'm not like a super woo-woo kind of guy, but I've had so many opportunities to talk about opposing forces and striking a balance between them. And here's another example. If you're the kind of guy that just blazes trails and goes and figures it out on your own, there are opposing forces at play. You get to lead from the front, but you also get to be the first one to deal with the consequences of leading from the front. And so you have to balance between those two things. There's good and bad. There's always a pro and con, and there's always tension between the two. And so how do you strike that balance? On what end of the spectrum do you need to balance yourself so that you can move forward safely, but also continue making progress?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that a lot. Real quick here, I just want to go over to the chat real quick. Want to thank you all for being here. I want to say hi to my dad, Bob Varnell. Thanks for being on the live stream, man. This guy been supporting me since the moment I came out of my mother's womb and has never stopped. He's always here for me. And then, of course, my wife. Thank you, Deanna. She always reminds everybody, hit that like button, hit the subscribe and share. I love you so much, babe. Thank you for being here. Dilemma. Yeah, man. Good vibes. Thank you for being here, Dilemma. We got Moby Sage in the house. Thanks, man. It's okay that you missed the first 7 minutes. You're going to get the most important stuff now. We got Cowboys of Crypto, man. This is one of my good close friends. This gentleman owns a crypto YouTube channel also. So for those of you that haven't subscribed to Cowboys of Crypto, go check him out, man. We just spent a fun weekend here in Vegas for a CNFT convention that was in town. He flew in from Florida, and man, we had some amazing times. Thanks for joining the stream. And we got, Moby Sage again. Love this, JT. Big lessons there. Yeah, man. So for those of you that, are here from my community and you're wondering, hey, what's going on, man? Are you going to talk a little bit of cryptocurrency? What's going on? We are going to talk some cryptocurrency because one of the things that Josh and I found as we got to know each other is that we have polar opposite kind of cryptocurrency stories, if you will. So I think this would be kind of a fun time to kind of get into what we were talking about last week. Some of your experience that started back in, late 2017, the beginning of 2018, and just kind of tell the viewers what happened to you with crypto and just, I love this story.
Yeah, you got it. So as I mentioned, there was about a 10-year climb to get somewhere. With being an online entrepreneur and all of those sorts of things. And so I built a career up working for an internet marketing consultant, and that time was coming to an end. I actually ended up getting fired, but not for any crazy thing. It was just we were just going in different directions, and neither one of us really wanted to pull the plug, but it needed to be pulled. And so the plug got pulled on me first before I could do it, which is fine. And then I had to figure out, well, what am I going to do? And so, fortunately, I had built up a little bit of a network. And so I reached out to my network and I said, hey, I'm unemployed. What do you got? And a handful of conversations later, I get on the phone with an old friend of mine who is putting together a crypto conference. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know jack about crypto, but cool, whatever. Do you need help with that? And he said, yeah, because he knew I had built up some skills and sales and I understood how marketing worked and that sort of thing. And so he brought me on to help him fill this conference. And so I jumped in and did some podcast interviews for him and talked to some people on the phone and helped him organize the event. And all the while I started learning about crypto. This was roughly September of 2017. And so Bitcoin in early May of that year, I believe, was somewhere around, I don't know, $3,000, $2,000 or $3,000. And then by September, my memory is fuzzy. You guys can fact check me on this, but By September of that year, it had crept up to about 8 or 9. And that's when I realized, like, dang, man, I feel like I'm missing the boat here. I should probably get into this thing. But I'm a super cautious guy. And so we keep working. The conference is filling up. It's a big deal. Tons of people are coming. And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And around December, I'm like, all right, I've waited long enough. Bitcoin had gotten up to, I think, $19,000 or whatever. And so I started investing in some altcoins. I'm getting on Reddit and seeing what those guys are talking about. I'm like, well, that seems like a good idea. And, so I put some money in here, I put some money in there. And then one day I made like $1,000 in 24 hours. And I was like, holy shit, man, this thing is awesome. And then the next day, like, that $1,000 was gone. And I'm like, man, this shit sucks. And so we're driving towards the conference, and Bitcoin like hit its kind of pinnacle in January of 2018, and it started going down a little bit. The conference was in February, and it was huge. There was like almost 2,000 people there. It was ridiculous. And then we had the conference, and it went pretty well. I ended up getting in an argument with one of the speakers, and that kind of turned sour real quick. I'm being purposefully vague about that. But anyway, the conference was a success. Everything went fine. And then Bitcoin just tanked. It like went off a cliff. And we had sold this big mastermind that was based on crypto, and we were going to bring in a bunch of big name guys to talk and kind of get together and talk about best practices and that sort of thing. And so we filled those seats up, and due to a little bit of some kind of weird issue that came up, we ended up having to cancel it. And so we never actually launched that mastermind. Everybody got their money back. It was fine. We never actually launched that mastermind. And then a month later, Bitcoin was like back down to, I don't know, like $2,000 or $3,000 again. And it was like nothing ever happened, except everybody lost all this money. And if we had been done, it was like a blessing in disguise, man. If we had been doing this mastermind, we'd all be standing there holding these huge bags going, all right, well, what the hell do we do now for the next 4 years? And that would have been really awkward. And so I'm almost grateful that mastermind didn't go through. But I got burned because I invested. I had the FOMO. I waited too long, and I invested at the very top of the market. And then crash, crypto winter, And so I had, I don't know, it wasn't a gigantic amount of money. It was like $10,000 or something, $10,000, $15,000 invested. And all of a sudden it was worth like 1,800. I was down 80+%. So I'm like, screw this, man. Screw crypto. And I just let it ride, and I didn't do anything with it. And people started talking about, well, I'm going to invest in Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's stupid, man. You guys wasting your time. That's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And I never paid any attention to it after that because I was jaded. And then it got up to like 60K. And if I'd have just bought like, I don't know, 2 of them, I'd have $100,000 right now. And so that's the path that I took. And by the time I realized what was going on with crypto, because I just like, no, I swore it off. I had such a bad experience that I was just like, no, I'm done. By the time I realized what was going on, it was way too late. And, I think we're in another crypto winter here now. But what I did notice is that $10,000, I think it was like $10,000 that I invested. All of a sudden, I went and checked it, and I saw crypto was going nuts again. I went and checked it, and it was worth like $18,000 all of a sudden. I'm like, holy crap, it works. But the majority of that value was I bought some Binance coins.
Yep.
I bought Binance in 2017 when it was like $20. And it had swollen up to like $700 or $800 or something crazy like that. And
Yep.
so it was like 80% of the value of my portfolio was Binance. And I was like, man, maybe I should take this out. Nah, I'm going to let it ride. And then it crashed again. So now it's probably worth like $2,000 again. But the reason that this story was so interesting is because when I told this story to Brad, guys, Brad started around the same time, but instead of taking my path of just being jaded and like swearing it off, he just started investing a little bit at a time. And at least with our crypto portfolios, we were in violently different places right now because of that. And so it's just been a really interesting kind of dichotomy between the two stories now that I kind of see both sides. You're like Nega Josh. You're like my nemesis. You're like the Bond villain of my story.
Right. I love this story. And the thing that I really enjoy the most about it, for those of you that are listening live and those of you that come and listen to the replay, is, hopefully it'll give you some hope, because this is an opportunity to not make the same mistake twice. Josh is 100% correct that we are right smack dab in the middle of a crypto winter. Bitcoin topped out at 68,000, relatively close to October 11th or October 12th. And it's been downtrending ever since. I want to say it's sitting at about $19,000 today. But had you bought Bitcoin back in 2018 at its peak of 20,000 and just held it, when it went up in 2021 to 65,000, you would have made, 300% on your money. And there's very, very few stocks that you could have bought in 2018 that would have tripled your money by 2021. And if you did find a stock like that, it would have been a very, very risky play, probably some type of penny stock or something that wasn't, you're not going to probably triple your money on Microsoft in 3 years. It's a solid investment. You might make 5 or 10 or 20%, but you're not going to triple your money in 3 years. So I do love this story because it gives all of you that are going through this first winter some hope. All you got to do is hold on. When Josh talks about how we did the exact opposite thing, I wasn't any smarter than Josh. I didn't really know any more than Josh. I was just lucky that I had the right mentor, which is another good point. And I think Josh would agree that it's important to find the right mentors in life and listen to advice from the right people that know what you want to do. In other words, I don't care how successful you are in real estate investing. I'm not going to come ask you what stocks I should buy, and vice versa. If you're super, stock guru, made millions in stocks, but you've never bought an investment property, I'm not going to come and ask you about how to buy real estate. I'm going to talk to you about stocks. So I was very lucky that I had a mentor that had turned $9,500 into $2.2 million during that bull run. So right as I jumped in, I had a guy that knew what he was doing and that instilled in me belief. I've heard this saying many times: 1% doubt will take you out. And what that really means, folks, is you can have 90, 95, 99% belief in something, but that little bit of doubt that you have will keep you from making the best decisions. It will scare you out of doing the things that will give you the massive success. So I'm just glad to have you on here. Thank you for sharing that story. I really appreciate your transparency. And, I hope that maybe between now and the next bull market, which I believe is going to happen in 2024, 2025, maybe we'll get that portfolio of yours built up a little bit, and you'll be able to experience, some 10, 25, 50, maybe even 100 times your money type gains in this next bull market.
Well, that sounds great. You gotta play to win, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So one other quick question that I had for you is you talk a little bit about, how busy people, we'll say people, because I'm sure that there's, people that are watching this channel do have an entrepreneurial spirit, but there's probably also a lot of people that are watching this that just have, 9-to-5s that are trying to figure out how they can work full time and pay their bills with their job, but then still give themselves an opportunity to educate themselves about the cryptocurrency space, maybe make some extra money through a side hustle or something along those lines that they can invest so that they can really take advantage of the next bull market. And I know one of the things that you are very, very good at is helping busy people find time, to focus on themselves rather than just always running around like chickens with their heads cut off, putting out fires. So how do you help the people that you coach and the businesses that you work with? How do you help them to manage their time better and to make time for all of the important things? Because I don't know about you, but one of the things that I hear over and over and over and over is I don't have enough time to do that. And I know it drives me crazy, and you probably feel the same way too.
Well, I'll give you one tip that once you start applying this to your life, if you're very intentional about it, it will over time change your behavior and it will clear your schedule. And it has to do with telling yourself the truth. I am on a mission to eradicate the word busy from your vocabulary. The word busy doesn't mean really what you think it does. And what you typically use it as is it's an enabler. It's an excuse. I'm sorry, Brad, I couldn't get on your podcast today. I was just too busy. I've just been so busy. Man, I know we couldn't talk earlier, but man, I've just been busy. Sorry, kiddo, I couldn't come to your school play last night. I've just been so busy at work. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I didn't mean to forget our anniversary. It's just that I've been so busy lately. And I want you to change that word. And this is the key that's going to start making a difference, because this is the truth. Busy doesn't mean anything. You're just using that word as a euphemism. And so instead of saying the word busy, the next time you want to say the word busy, I want you to replace it with the word unfocused, because that's the truth. I'm sorry that I missed your school play, kiddo. It's just that I've been really unfocused at work. I'm sorry, honey, that I missed our anniversary. It's just that I've been really unfocused. Sorry, Brad, I didn't mean to. I know we were having trouble getting our podcast scheduled. It's just that I'm really unfocused. Because that's what's real. And as soon as we start admitting what's real, then we can start allowing things in place of the bullshit stories that we tell ourselves. We're not busy. We make time for the things that matter most. We prioritize the things that matter most. If you're not doing something and you're saying, I'm too busy, it's because that thing is not enough of a priority for you to make the time. And so the first thing that you really have to do, aside from eliminating, it's a 4-letter word. Get rid of it. Aside from eliminating the word busy, the first real thing that you have to do is you have to get clarity on what you want. And that's a tough question sometimes to answer. It's tough to answer the question, what do you want? Well, I don't know. I want to sit around. I want to travel. People say all kinds of things. Write it down. Get real specific. What do you want? And then the next question you have to ask is, what does it take to get what you want? And once you get clear on that, then you have to ask yourself, okay, how does what I'm doing align with what it takes so that I can get what I want? So everything kind of stacks up. What do you want? Get real clear on that. What does it take to get what you want? How is what you're doing aligning with what it takes to get what you want? And if there's no alignment between those three things, then you're not going to get what you want. You're going to keep churning through the same thing over and over and over again until you become an old man or an old woman full of regret, wishing that life hadn't passed you by. And I recommend, and I'm 42, and with each day that I wake up, I'm a little bit older, and I wish that I had seen these things a little bit sooner. I wish that 10 years ago I could have seen, every day that you wait is a day you don't get back. So that's my recommendation to anybody that's looking to break free of whatever shackles you or society or your parents or your family or friends or whoever has placed on you. If you really want to break out of those, go through this process. What do I want? What does it take to get what I want? How does what I'm doing align with what it takes to get what I want? Once you have that kind of clarity, whether or not you make the change is on you. Because once you know, it's 100% your responsibility. Once you know what it takes to change and you don't change, that's your problem. But until you know it, it's somebody else. Like if somebody else can open your eyes to the possibility of what you can do and what you can accomplish, and you don't take that path, you don't want it.
Right. Awesome, man. I got to tell you, I'm loving this interview so much. I've never had somebody on the channel that said things the way that you said them. I've never had anybody on the channel explain it that way. And folks, if you noticed, I was kind of looking down a little bit while he was talking. It wasn't because I was busy on my phone. I was taking notes. I wrote it down, be intentional. Eradicate the word busy out of your vocabulary and change it to the word unfocused, and then get clarity on what you do want. What does it take to get what you want? And then is what you're doing in alignment with what you want? So folks, I wish I would have mentioned this sooner, but this is definitely the podcast. Some of them are fun to just listen to. We have a lot of fun. This is fun, but at the same time, this is the podcast. And if you don't have a pen and paper handy, I definitely recommend going and grabbing one, and definitely recommend you revisiting. What were we at? About the 32-minute mark. So go back at least 5 minutes and listen to that again and write down the key points from it, because you won't remember it tomorrow if you don't write it down. I've heard it said that I'd rather trust a short pencil over a long memory any day of the week. So thank you so much for that, man. I do appreciate that. And I just knew after we spoke, on the phone or on our Zoom call a week or two ago, that this was going to be amazing. And it's just been absolutely fantastic. I know you're going to end up, being on the channel again. So one other question that I wanted to ask you is, now that they've got kind of this ballpark, this outline, they've answered these questions, they've got some things written down. I know that you have some amazing strategies, some actual tools, so what are some different ways that you like to help people get more done in less time?
Yeah, certainly. So I've developed a personality profile assessment called the Do Zone DNA. You can access it. You can take it yourself at dozonedna.com. That is built to help you get clarity on how you tend to operate, how you get stuff done, so that you can build the world and your environment around you for optimal performance. So if you are an entrepreneur, it's built for entrepreneurs, and you're looking to really maximize the value of your time and make sure that you're building the environment around you so that you can maximize that time, the Do Zone DNA is a great tool for you. I also have a podcast by the same name. It's called The Do Zone. And I recommend that you check that out. We put out 2 episodes a week. One of them is a solo episode where I have a prompt and I just look at it and I start talking for 10 minutes and whatever the hell comes out, which has been an interesting exercise in itself, which has really helped me kind of open up and kind of organize my thoughts in an interesting way that I've never really done before. And then towards the back half of the week, I have an interview where I'll interview an entrepreneur or a business owner, someone like Brad, where we talk through what they're doing with their business and how they operate and how they get stuff done. So there's lots of great little nuggets of wisdom in there if you check it out.
Awesome. Do you care to expand a little bit on you talk about a 15-minute like a 15-minute block of time, and how the mind really isn't designed to spend, people talk about taking an hour or two to try to finish a task. And I like the way that you explained. You like to break it down into shorter segments of time, even going as far as having a timer sitting there. Do you mind explaining a little bit more about that system and how you've implemented it?
Yeah, sure. So in putting together the Do Zone, which was an idea a year and a half ago, I did a bunch of research, and in my research, it revealed that there were a bunch of people with science degrees who did a bunch more research, and I'm relying on that to be mostly accurate, at least. So what we found is the human brain can only really concentrate for about 40 minutes out of the hour, 40 to 45 minutes at a time. And then it needs a break. And another thing that we found through some scientific research is your available productive time for any given day is up to 6 hours. And that's a max. Like 6 hours is a lot. And so if you're working an 8-hour day, at a minimum, you're wasting 2 hours. Like you're completely unproductive for at least 2 hours of those 8, according to science. Okay. I'm not making any personality judgments here. And so there are some benefits to really breaking up your time and being intentional about what you're doing. If we just sit here and like, okay, I'm gonna write a script for this podcast that I'm doing, and 2 hours goes by. Out of that 2 hours, you were probably productive for like maybe less than half. And so again, awareness puts the responsibility on us to do it correctly. If I'm aware that I'm only going to be able to focus for 15, 20, 30 minutes, then I'm just going to block that time out. There's a concept called the Pomodoro Technique that you can look up. It's pretty popular. It's pretty widely known. But basically, you're working for a period of time, and then you take a small break where you do nothing else. You just walk away. So I've seen it many different ways. I've seen it like 25 minutes on, take a 5-minute break, 25 minutes on, 5-minute break. And there's different iterations of that. But you set a timer. When that timer goes off, you get up and you leave. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I tend to think that's a little more militant than it needs to be. But when you use a timer, at least up front, it helps you build some kind of mental blocks and mental barriers to how you operate. You might realize, oh crap, that timer went off way faster than I expected it to. I didn't realize 25 minutes went by that fast. Sometimes it may take a lot longer than you think. But the importance is not whether or not you stay exactly on with the timer. The importance is creating awareness, because that awareness allows you to create structure. And when you have that structure, you're able to be much more efficient and effective with your time. And that's what it's all about.
I love it. So I know in my personal case, and probably some other people out there feel like this, when I first started hearing about, Google Calendar and Calendly and blocking out my time, and like, even I know that, super elite performers, some of the people, that are, billionaires, literally have their time blocked out. They have their time scheduled for like when they're going to spend time with their family. And when I first heard about that, I thought it was crazy. And talk about militant. Like I like to be part of the reason I like crypto is it gives me freedom. It gives me, freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so I was very hesitant and very stubborn, to kind of fall in line with those things. But I'm wondering your take on those things. And what I've kind of found in my own life is I'm still choosing what goes into the calendar. And if anything, it's actually given me more freedom than the less freedom like I thought it was gonna. Have you experienced that with your clients, and how do you help people kind of overcome that hurdle in their mind?
Well, this is my calendar for today. So I keep it pretty full for the most part, and I color code it so that I know what I'm supposed to be doing and what it's in relation to. I remember not too long ago, I'm a single guy. And I remember the first time that I put a date in my calendar, like, oh yeah, I'm taking Jennifer out at 7:30 to this restaurant down the street, and I put the time, the location, and the person I was going to meet, and I stuck that in my calendar, and I'm like, maybe I've gone too far. maybe
Right?
maybe this is crossing a line somewhere. I don't know. But you know what? I wasn't late for that date. And that's what mattered. Because if it at that point it was one of those things where it's like, man, if this is not put in my calendar, I won't show up because I'm so used to like, okay, what's next? Almost every hour of my day is scheduled out at this point, even if it's off time, like because people schedule calls. And if I need to go and write something, like I need 2 hours this afternoon to write something. I'm working on a launch right now. I have to block that time off that says, write the letter for this thing. And I need to put it in because otherwise somebody will fill that spot. I've got VAs, I've got appointment setters, I've got all these people that are like trying to find time to squeeze in to talk to me. And if I don't own my time, somebody else will own it.
I love that. If you don't own your time, somebody else will. Man, great,
That's right.
great explanation there. I appreciate that definitely.
I'll,
And it's something
I'll
that
give
I'm
you.
I'm working on every day.
I'll give you this. I had a podcast interview with a lady named Monica Burke, and that episode will come out probably in the next couple of months. But she said along the same line, I can't take full credit for what I just said because what she said was, you've got to be centered on what you want. Otherwise, the world is going to tell you what you want. You know? And it's the same thing about anything. You've got to be in control of your time because if you're not in control of your time, somebody else will be in control of your time.
Absolutely. I love it. I just tried to post the link to the podcast in my here and it coming out about 10,000 letters long. I don't know exactly what I did wrong, but it's the dozone.com.
Dozone.com, and you can go /pod. You can just go to the dozone.com and there's a big fat button with a link to the podcast right there. You can also find it on Apple and Spotify. You can just go to the search tools on Apple or Spotify, probably Stitcher too, and it'll be right there.
Awesome. Let's go back over here to the chat. I want to thank all of you again for being here. We got Arm 2010. We got Quicker. He said he's watching this sucker at about 1.5 speed because he's 30 minutes late. Welcome, man.
Well,
thank you for
being here. I'm a slow talker, so yeah.
Deadwood, hey, thank you all for being here, man. Really appreciate you. So what is an ideal client for you, Josh? So if somebody's sitting here watching the show and thinking, man, I really like what Josh has to say, I'd be interested in working with him or potentially maybe having my company connect with him and have him help, the whole company have, better time management and better production. What's a perfect client for you? And then what's the best way for them to reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, sure thing. So first of all, anybody listening, if you really love mindset and being purposeful and intentional about your time, I highly encourage all of you to check out my podcast. I put out 2 episodes per week. So there's a little bit for everybody. And that's called The Do Zone. You can get that on Apple or Spotify, or you can go to thedozone.com. As far as people that I love connecting with directly, if you are an entrepreneur who is looking to level up in whatever regard, whatever that may be, I'm building something really special. I'm building a network of entrepreneurs who, again, are very intentional about their time. And we are focused on goal setting and accountability and helping you set and crush your goals over the next 12 months. And that's going to be open for everybody soon. It's not super high end, like 5-figure coaching type of thing. It is a community that is very reasonably priced, and you get a ton of value and a ton of support. And we're all here to make sure that you get more stuff done. And so if that's interesting to you, You can reach me on any social media at JT Literally, at JT Literally. You can send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll see that pretty much immediately. And you can also go to thedozone.com, and there's some contact options there if you want to reach out to me there.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. So I'll definitely have all those links in the description. As of right now, I've got the website and the podcast linked. Before we get this all the way, well, it's live right now, but when I'm getting ready to publish it officially, I'll get all of the links to your Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that out there too. So that'll be fantastic. And real quick, folks, for those of you that stuck around, I always do a little bit of a giveaway. A lot of times I will redirect somebody, like if you had a YouTube channel, I would redirect my viewers to your YouTube channel, have them subscribe to it, and maybe make a comment on
channel.
You do have a YouTube channel. Awesome. How do people find you on YouTube?
I just started it, man. And so because I think I'm under 100 subscribers, and so they wouldn't let me do a custom URL. But you can find me, Josh Thomas. You can search that. And I believe if the Do Zone doesn't have the updated link yet, it will very soon. So I do have a YouTube channel, and if you can help me get to 100 subscribers, then I can change the name of it.
Man, I love it. Let me see. I'm Googling or I'm YouTube searching
Instagram.
Josh Thomas, the Do Zone. Beautiful. I found episode 135 here. Let me click on that. And then beautiful. Then I'm going to go to your homepage. So Crushing Your Fear Podcast is the name of the YouTube channel, correct?
That is definitely not me.
That is not you. Well, it shows.
That's not me. Yeah, that's Michael Power. Yeah.
That's okay. So
that's a different dude altogether. So don't worry about it. I'll get you the info. I was on that Crushing Your Fear podcast.
You were on there.
Yeah, I was on that. Yeah. Probably the easiest place to send people would be my Instagram at JT Literally.
Awesome. Okay, so this is what we're going to do, folks. We're going to let this roll for a few days, give you guys an opportunity. So what I want you to do, if you're watching this, is go to at JT Literally on Instagram, take his very last post and go like it and make a comment on it saying, something, about you found Josh through Infinite Crypto, so that we know that you watched this podcast, this live stream. And then here in a few days, we're going to go back and we're going to pick out a winner. And we're going to pick out two winners. Actually, we're going to pick out two winners, and both of those winners is going to get $25 worth of a token called Dimitra. DMTR is the ticker. I just spent a lot of time researching this project. Right now it's sitting at about a penny. Its all-time high was $6. I figured out that $25 of it has the potential to turn into $10 or $15 or $20,000 if it gets back up to its all-time high. So definitely go check out Josh Thomas's Instagram channel. Make a post on his latest Instagram, make a comment on his latest Instagram, and then we're going to go back and we're going to give away $50 worth of Dimitra tokens here in a few days. That sound good, Josh?
That sounds awesome. Yeah. I don't know what my last one. Oh yeah. It was there was a podcast short on there. Yeah. So cool.
In the meantime, we'll get his YouTube channel and we'll throw that in the description, and we're going to help Josh get to 100 subs, man. We can do it. I will get you. I've got a big Telegram group. About 250 or 300 of my biggest supporters, my Infinite Crypto family, in a Telegram group. So I'll post that there once we have it. I've got another OTC group with 800 or 900 members in it. So we're going to get you pushed up to 100 fast, buddy.
There you go. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to respect your time. I appreciate you coming on so much. I know that you've got a lot to do today. So we've been going for, almost an hour. So I just, thank you so much for your time. You're welcome back on the channel anytime, man. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Any final parting words that you'd like to give to the viewers?
We all have the same 24 hours in a day. I want you to really, really think about what you're going to do with yours.
Amen. All right. God bless everybody. We will see you in the next episode. Take care. Have a great